Brent, reading the papers Sunday and Monday, though, it looked like Leinster lost.
Yeah, I suppose there was a lot of negativity. I think, there'd been a lot of expectation. I mean, I was at the game myself, so I think if the game had gone another 10 minutes, you probably would have felt that Bath would have got at least to push it to extra time. But I think the concern was Leinster's inability to score tries, and I think if they're looking at going to Toulon now, you're going to have to score tries to beat a side like that. But having said that, it's a knockout match. Leinster have the guts of an international side there. They have the guts of 8 or 9 starting players. I mean, the expectation will be off them, and I think that'll help Leinster a bit. I think they can, Toulon, I was talking to Donal about it before, I don't think Toulon are the finished article this year. I think that Leinster can, they've got to up their form. They'll have to play a lot better, but they still travel and hope.
But the joy of winning a cup quarter-final, albeit narrowly, wasn't there, or it doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, I think it's expectation, isn't it? People, when they see Leinster at this stage of the competition, they want to see them playing. And they've had an up-and-down season, there's no doubt. Loads of mitigating factors. I think the team on Saturday, they haven't played together all season, that group, that 15. I think they'll get better. They'll learn from it. They need to be better. There's no doubt about it. They need to be better. Their discipline was excellent. Their set piece was really good. And that's a good platform to start from. They need to get a bit more cohesion. They need to get quicker presentation of ball. And make some line breaks and score tries. But overall, yeah, I think they were lucky to hang on in the end. There was a penalty right at the end that probably should have went to Bath. But they're through, and it's preparation now, and there'll be less pressure on them now in this semi-final because everybody will expect Toulon to win. But I think they're capable of a better performance.
How big was the luck factor? I mean, they're there now and we can forget about it. But, I mean, should Bath have won, in your opinion, honestly?
I think the score reflected the game. I mean, they had a chance. Bath had loads of chances. I mean, the opening half, for a team that prides itself on running, and they had some outstanding individual performances, but some of their handling was very poor. And their indiscipline was appalling. But a lot of that indiscipline and the penalties they gave away was as a direct consequence of the pressure that Leinster were putting on them. I agree with you in terms of the negativity. I mean, I was sitting in the stand, I was at the game, and the response from some of the Leinster people around me surprised me, I have to say.
Do they want leather upholstery on their rugby still? I mean, is that the hangover?
This Leinster group are suffering from the high standards that were set by an exceptional Leinster team from 2009 to 2012. Yeah. I mean, there's been a massive transition in that Leinster team. And it also seems crazy that we've got to April, you're 7.5 months into a season, and the point you're making, quite rightly, they're not gelling together. They haven't played together. I mean, it seems ridiculous for a club crowd. I have sympathy for Matt O'Connor in a lot of areas. Sean O'Brien only played 1 match for Leinster prior to Saturday. Cian Healy had little or no rugby. And there are issues there. There's no doubting that. They have a centre combination. I think it only played once together. But there's no more room for error.
You do pay the price for success, though, with the internationals. And we experienced it in Munster when I played. And that expectation winning, when you've so many guys away at different periods, it unsettles your whole season.
Also, yourself, if those players have been away and tasting success somewhere else, it's actually harder. Years ago, you may have come back to a Munster situation where you're still in the Heineken Cup. Ireland wasn't doing so well, and you couldn't wait to get back and play.
I remember playing with Munster, and there was about 12 of us on the Shannon team, on the Munster team, and we came back and played a club game, and it was like chalk and cheese. We were terrible. We couldn't get that cohesion. So it does have an effect.
I tell you what surprised me. Like, given that there was so many Leinster players who had been out, but I think 14 of the 23 on Saturday had featured at some stage for Ireland in the Six Nations. What amazed me is that they didn't explode out of the blocks, make a statement early on. They were playing at home against the Bath team who, like Leinster were favourites to win, marginally, but they were favourites. And I thought Leinster, they were almost passive in the opening 10 or 15 minutes.
But they've been passive all year.
But I don't think they weren't helped by the atmosphere, Popey. Compared to, there was over 40,000 people at the game. There was no atmosphere whatsoever in the half hour before the game.
It can look quite empty with 40,000 people.
Well, it can, but still, I mean, you get behind your team. I mean, but even simple things like Anthony Watson was playing full back for the first time in 2 months. He'd been on the wing for England. The first ball that Goppert put up, there was no chase whatsoever. He had all day
both
to catch
sides,
the
the kick and the basics of the game. I think Bath turned over 18 balls. 18. They didn't deserve to win on that basis. They were beaten out the door on the scrum and on the ground at the second phase. Having said that, they created the most line breaks. So I think
they're getting there, though.
I think, as Alan said, I think you've a lot of Leinster people out there still trying to go back to the O'Driscoll-Darcy era. They're trying to go back to the way that Leinster played under Schmidt. This is a different team, a different personnel, both in coaching and playing, and they're still looking. I think that's the disappointment. People look at
it's hard not to buy into that as well when you have that success. We had it in Munster. The expectation, and there's a change in times. And I do have sympathy for Matt O'Connor as well.
I wanted to talk about him just a little bit, Alan. I mean, he's done well. Excuse me, but he's done very well. I mean, he's like the league title, semi-final now. We know it's very, very competitive for an Irish team financially and all the rest of it. Yet, I know there's absolutely like intellectual geniuses on Twitter and social media, but he's getting an awful rough time for a guy who seems to me to be doing a perfectly serviceable number.
Yeah, well, I think it's that expectation, isn't it? And it's that easy on the eye type performance that we've seen Leinster, where they're very cohesive, great pace, great tempo to their game, and we haven't seen that. So they've struggled a little bit while all these internationals are away. They don't have the same, they've lost some experience. So you have to have a bit of empathy for him, there's no doubt about that.
But it's from here done. The personnel though at half-back and midfield.
Oh, that control.
10, 12, 13.
Darcy and O'Driscoll were together for 13 or 14 years. You had Johnny Sexton there, and
it takes time, doesn't it? But it's from here to the end of the season that you can judge.
But I think that expectation, they won't travel to Toulon, they won't be expected to win, whatever way they will roll the dice. People will say, look, you're not going to go to Toulon and win in France. I think that'll take the heat off in the middle. Give them a couple of weeks now to get the players back, get the international. But I mean, Sean O'Brien was very quiet on Saturday. Keane Healy's still coming back up to speed. I mean, they're still the bones of an international side going to France.
There's improvement to come in a fortnight. Okay.